I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Bearcat Update. I'm Clark Griswold, here to bring you sports for the day. It is our Christmas show. It's also our last show, as you can tell. No eggnog in this cup right here. We've got Kris Kringle on the set in front of a beautiful fireplace, and we're going to ring in the holiday cheer this year. We're going to start off the show with some Maryville basketball as the Spoofhounds kicked off their season at the Savannah tournament last week. They are now 2-1 following a defeat to Staley in the final. They lost 51-49, and they would place second overall. Joe Andrews, our in-house Maryville High School sports reporter, has all the action information for the upcoming season. Let's take a look and send it over to Joe.
Maryville boys basketball opened its season in a unique situation following a 2-1 start with just one full team practice. Coach Matt Steckline attributes the success to the team's effort in the offseason, which began in the summer.
Everything that we want, the environment that we want, we need to set that up in the summer, make sure that they understand it. So day one of our first game, and them only getting one practice this year, that we've got to know it. Otherwise, we're even further behind than we really should be.
Two members of the team stepped up in the absence of the football players, who represent the starting five.
Two of our players here that will see some varsity court time are Alex Bean. He's kind of our three-point specialist. Works hard, is a vocal leader, is a positive leader. Jake Woods is another. He's a junior, big, tall, athletic kid. Once again, also a vocal person, a loud person, and just a person that both of those boys know our system and understand kind of how we want to play.
Steckline wants to continue the success of the team throughout the atmosphere he has thrived in.
One of the things we stress is just positivity, work hard, cheer each other on, compete against each other. So it's a high energy, work hard, have fun, and really try to just get after it with each other. But at the same time, remember, when the drill's over, we're still a team, we're still cheering each other on, and we're still working together.
Reporting for Bearcat Update, I'm Joseph Andrews.
Thanks, Joe, for that look at Maryville boys high school basketball. Now they'll be back in action this coming Monday, the 12th, as they travel to East Buck to take on the Dragons, kicking off their regular season. We're now going to take a look at Bearcat basketball as they kicked off their MIAA season as they traveled down to Edmond, Oklahoma to take on the Broncos of Central Oklahoma. Now, in the men's game, they would go out slow, honestly, as they would go into halftime down 32-29. But a scoring onslaught from Justin Pitts, Chris Ibu, and Dow and Zach Schneider would carry the Bearcats back as they'd outscore the Broncos 44-34 in the second half, and they would win by a final of 73-66. Justin Pitts, he'd go 9 for 15, 3 for 5 from three-point land. He was 7 for 8 from the free throw line with a total of 28 points and only 3 turnovers. He had 7 assists, 1 steal, and played the entire 40 minutes. Now, this is a team with a lot of talent on it, but they are led by that young man right there, Justin Pitts. An exciting season for these guys. They'll be back in action Tuesday, so if you're watching this on Tuesday, they'll be in action tonight, and then after that, the game on Saturday has been moved to Sunday at Bearcat Arena. Now, the women's basketball team was also down there with the men's team in Edmond, Oklahoma, taking on the Broncos. In this one, this Lady Bearcat team is doing phenomenally well compared to last year's. They already tied the same number of wins as last season entirely. This team looking up, they're led by Tanya Meyer. Tanya Meyer, though, would be injured in this game and not play. They'd have to find scoring from somewhere else. In this one, they'd go down early, only scoring 8 in the first quarter and 9 in the second quarter, and they'd be down big at halftime. But a scoring onslaught in the second half, led by Taryn Scholl, would cut the lead down of the Broncos, but they would run out of time, the Bearcats would, as they would fall final 68-58. Taryn Scholl led the team with 18 points. She had 2 turnovers, no assists on the night. She was 7 for 14, 3 for 5 from 3, and only got to the free throw line 1 time. She had 9 total rebounds. Now, as I mentioned before, the men's team, the ladies will also be in action here for more conference play. Tuesday night, taking on Missouri Western, and then on Sunday, they'll be back in action once again at Bearcat Arena. Now, that's all the time I have for this first segment. Thanks for tuning in with me, Tim Hanna. It's Christmas here on KNWT Channel 8. Stay tuned. We've got Bearcat football coming up, and we'll even take a more in-depth look at the point guard for the Lady Bearcat basketball team. You're going to want to stay tuned. This is Bearcat Update. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. We're now going to take a look at Bearcat football as they found themselves in round 3 of Super Region 3 playoffs for NCAA, taking on the Harding Bisons. Let's look at those highlights right now. Early in the game, Bearcats get started out quick. First drive, play action pass here. Zimmerman finds Grove on a seam down the middle, makes one man miss, and gets a key block from Clay Wilson, and he is in for the 50-yard touchdown, and Grove would not be done today. This time he takes a wildcat there on 4th and goal, runs that one in, and the Bearcats go up big. Their defense would dominate Harding as they would hold them scoreless. Here, Jack Young with the big interception, getting the ball back for the Bearcats. Lots of takeaways in this one so far. And then, of course, got to give some love to special teams. Simon Mathieson, really the leading scorer of the day, as he'd knocked through multiple field goals to extend the Bearcat lead. In the end, it would end final 35-0, a repeat of the last time they faced the Harding Bison here at Bearcat Stadium. Now, Jordan Grove would be the guy to look for in the game, really. He had 3 touchdowns, as I'm now joined with Kreighton Elwood. He was the play-by-play guy for X106, also my host for Weekend Sports Kickoff. Kreighton, pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you as always. Always love being on the show.
It's always good to have you. We need to bring you back more, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's take a look. As I was saying, Jordan Grove was the guy, essentially, where he only ran the ball 2 times, but he got 3 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he had that receiving touchdown. What a game for this guy who he's had a good season, but probably not as solid as last year. Still getting first team all conference, but that was him stepping up.
Yeah, no, Jordan Grove did it all. He really whenever he touches the ball, it's always a chance that he can put it in the end zone. And I really don't know why teams don't key in on it more, because he splits out of the backfield, lines up in the pistol next to Zimmerman, and goes out in the slot all the way out to the sideline at wide receiver. He can really do it all. We even saw him throw a pass this week. It fell just a little bit long, but, I mean, this guy can do it all.
He can do it all, especially last year, the Natty. He completed that long pass. They've had him throw it a few times this year, only once really successfully, but an overall great game for Jordan. Let's also talk about just the team in general. Let's focus, I guess, on the defense and what you saw in this dominating performance, holding the #1 run offense scoreless.
Yeah, absolutely. 0 passing yards, just over 100 yards of total offense for Northwest team that they were playing, and really this defense came up big. 300th career sack for Jacob Volstead, Jack Young 12th interception, and he's leading the team with the INTs. So this defense is really looking forward to next week where they take on Ferris State.
Now, what do you look for in that game against Ferris? They have a really good quarterback. Do you think Bevins and White will get to him? And even with Volstead, coming out of the that middle linebacking spot to plug holes for the running.
Well, Ferris State beat Grand Valley State this past week, and they actually lost to them earlier in the season, so they're a little bit of a revamped team, but they did have a quarterback who scored 4 rushing touchdowns, but against the Northwest best rushing defense in the nation, I don't see him, doing it again this week.
Now, is this a team that not many people know about? Obviously, this is the first time they've gone this deep in the playoffs for D2. They're kind of a team that's come out of nowhere, frankly, that not many people know about. They're up from Michigan. They'll be down here, so they're going to be used to the cold weather, and I know it could be really, really cold on Saturday.
Right.
Do you think that plays into maybe their favor? You think, that Bearcat Stadium is going to be packed and they're ready to tear down the field goal post?
They're a 12-2 team. Like you said, kind of a Cinderella story, and I just don't see it happening for them. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to the Ferris State Bulldog fans, but this Northwest defense is for real, and this Northwest offense looked really good under Kyle Zimmerman this past weekend.
Speaking of Kyle, he threw for over 300 yards, but running the ball as our team, we really didn't run that great. They did have one of the best run defenses in the country, but still, Jackson got 38, and Cam Wilcox got
just over 30 as well. But yeah, Zimmerman looked really poised in the pocket. Fourth time having a 300-yard game through the air. So, it's either one thing or the other. Either rushing attacks on, the passing attacks on. Heck, sometimes it's even both, but it's a very good thing to be a Bearcat fan just with this offense.
We definitely love to see both. Do you think there's any things they can exploit in this game offensively? Because there's been, I don't want to say issues, when you can't say issues when we've been beating teams by more than 21 all season long, but we get overshadowed so much by how good our defense is that our offense sometimes is like, oh, we're struggling. No, we're still scoring 30 plus a game.
When you're one of the top scoring offenses in the league, in the nation, it's hard to say what can and can't work. But one thing I know for sure is this offensive line is unbelievable. They can get out and move. They can block up the middle. Heck, we got stuffed twice at the goal line this past week, and I'd like to see that. Of course, the red zone efficiency can always step up for Northwest, but that's the one thing that I think that they need to improve on is just pounding it in the end zone when they're that close to the goal line.
That's true. They did struggle with it this weekend, and I know we just talked a little bit about passing. Didn't struggle at all. Take a look at with Sean Bain out right now. Dre Washington stepped up, 7 receptions, had over 130 yards, I believe. And then there's always Shane Williams and George Seal.
Of course.
It seems like every game it's a different guy stepping up, and that's just that 1/11th mentality for the Bearcats. And
next guy just steps up and does his job. That's all it is.
So real quick, let's get a prediction before we have to go to break right now. So, what do you think is going to happen in this Ferris State game?
Well, this last week was the first shutout for Northwest this whole season, 35-0, and I think they might do it again. I think that they'll shut out Ferris State 42-0. I think that's going to be my score prediction.
Wow, in a national semifinal, setting a precedent.
Just putting it out there.
All right,
domination.
I like that, Kreighton.
Confidence.
Right. We're going to have to take a quick break. Thanks for coming on. We have to have you on next semester.
Always.
Stay tuned, guys. We've got more sports coming up after the break. You're watching Bearcat Update here on KNWT Channel 8. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. I'm your host, Tim Hanna, doing his best Clark Griswold impersonation. Chris Kringle chilling in the background. It's Christmas show here on KNWT Channel 8. Thanks for tuning in, bringing you all the sports in Northwest Missouri. We talk Spoofhounds, we talk Bearcats, and now we're going to take a deeper look at the Lady Bearcat basketball team and their sophomore point guard, Macy Williams. Alex Sanchez has the story. Let's go to Alex for more.
The Northwest women's basketball team has been having a great start to their season this year. We sat down with sophomore Macy Williams to talk a little about what she did to get herself ready for the season.
My workout usually starts off with ball handling, and I usually do like 2 balls, different drills, and then I usually go into like a type of shooting workout where I start in close and then go out and then finish with 3s, and I'll do some type of passing workout.
We asked Macy how the semester differs from her first season of freshman year.
First semester when we were in season, it was really tough because I took some really hard classes my first semester of freshman year, which I don't know why I did that, but I was up until probably 12:31. Stupid, because then I would wake up at 6 the next morning. So I wasn't very healthy. I lost a ton of weight actually that first semester because I just wasn't treating my body right, and I didn't really have time to eat like a real lunch, so I just had like a peanut butter sandwich like 3 times a day, and it was It was bad.
We also asked her who she looks up to in the basketball world.
Yeah, Steph Curry, as you mentioned, is obviously a lot of people's idols, but I'm more inspired by him, by his faith too, and he just seems like a great guy, and that's kind of hard to find in the big sports world, but he just seems like a good, genuine guy, and obviously he's a point guard too, so I look up to him, but yeah.
The women's basketball team kicked off the 2016 season with a 5-game winning streak and continues to dominate on the court. For Bearcat Update, this is Alex Sanchez.
Thanks, Alex, for that look at Macy Williams, a sophomore point guard for the women's basketball team here at Northwest Missouri State. They're off to a successful start early on. Macy Williams herself averages 7 points a game, 6.5 assists, and she is, without a doubt, one of those leaders on that team. What a season they have. Hopefully they can continue their success and possibly make a run for an MIAA tournament appearance. Now, that is all the time I have for you today, but not just today, the entire semester. Thank you for tuning in with me, Tim Hanna, each and every week here. Remember, 6 o'clock, KNWT Channel 8, 6 till 6:15. We couldn't do this without you guys bringing you Spoofhound Athletics and Bearcat Athletics. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Bearcat Update _8, on Facebook, Bearcat Update, and Periscope, Bearcat Update _8. Signing off for the rest of my staff. It's been a pleasure working with everyone here on Bearcat Update. We'll be back next semester, just taking a break over Christmas break. I could go home, relax on the couch, sip some eggnog. But I'll be back in January bringing you basketball, baseball, and track and field right here on KNWT Channel 8.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring.